That one day every year in November is super special.
It was just something about orange and blue. It just wasn't a good color combination for us.
We got a lot of respect for Miami, but when it comes down to Florida Gators, I don't like them at all.
When you play your rival, if you don't get emotional, I mean, let's face it, you shouldn't be on that field.
To see that orange and blue, it just burns my eyes.
You got to live with it for 365 days.
And this is something that people are going to talk about for years.
Any win over Florida is my favorite football game of the season. I'll tell you that right now.
We stepped on that field with the mindset that we weren't going to quit.
This is the rivalry that started it all.
Florida State, Florida, the Seminoles, and the Gators. A rivalry steeped in half a century's worth of goal line stands and fourth quarter comebacks. In 1990, Steve Spurrier returned to his roots to coach the Gators, and the rivalry was intensified.
Florida had been beaten down, and they'd had some problems. They had been on probation. They needed a new look, and they brought in Mr. Florida football, Steve Spurrier. And here was Bobby Bowden doing his thing in Tallahassee, Florida. So you had two great coaches, two great teams, two great programs battling each other.
It was always good to beat Florida when he was there. And I guess probably the biggest thing that we could say is that Steve never won here in Tallahassee. And he probably still remembers that too.
1993 will always stand out to me because Florida State was ranked #1 in the country. And we get to Gainesville, it's late in the ball game, it's the fourth quarter, and on 3rd down and 10, Charlie Ward did his thing. He avoided a sack, he rolled a little bit to his left, he threw the pass to Warwick Dunn, who made the catch, missed tackle, and one guy had a chance to tackle it. He separates, and took it into the end zone and scored the touchdown.
Touchdown, Florida State!
Anytime you beat your arch rival at home, that's special. When you do it at their place, that just makes it extra special. They were all pretty big games. You look at 94, commonly referred to as the choke at Doak.
Steve Spurrier knew his team was going to come to Tallahassee and beat us. And they had us on the ropes going into the fourth quarter. We're down 4 touchdowns, 31-3.
It's 4 quarters, it's 60 minutes. No matter what has happened in the 3 prior quarters, it's not over till that last second ticks off.
Rock Preston, 3-2-1, touchdown FSU, tied the ball game.
Blitz threat, here's the snap, handoff to Preston, 3-2-1, touchdown, 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 touchdown! A point away from a tie with 1:45. Do you go for 2?
Gino, my friend, I'll tell you exactly. Bobby knows Steve Spurrier. He's not going to go for 2. He's going to get the point after, and he knows that Steve wants to win so bad, he'll make a mistake. And son of a, he did.
We just kept saying, throw, Spurrier, throw.
Danny Cannell almost got us into the promised land, and we just ran out of time.
Maybe the greatest comeback ever in college football history. We ended up going over to New Orleans, playing in the Sugar Bowl for the 5th quarter and the French quarter. Unfortunately, we won that game.
Nice step to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, 5-3, touchdown, Florida State. 5th quarter in the French quarter belongs to the Seminoles of Florida State. They beat the Gators 23-17.
Both the Gators and the Seminoles were ranked in the top 10 in every matchup from 1990 to 2000. Most contests had national title implications, none more than 1996.
1996, Florida State versus Florida, #1 versus #2. The place was packed, Bill Campbell Stadium. Both teams were passing-oriented football programs. With the wind in your face, you had no chance of throwing the football.
Well, you probably can ask Danny Warfel about the game, and he would probably say, and I guess maybe he did, that there's some pretty good hitting going on in the game. You know, we never taught a kid or asked a kid to hurt another player. That just wasn't the way we did things. Coach Biden wouldn't put up with it. But we did have a little deal with the players. Let's try to put something on them that soap and water won't wash off. You can't wash off a bruise. And if a guy gets hit enough times that he decides he didn't want to play anymore, that was his choice.
Warwick Dunn probably played his best game of his career against the University of Florida. Had about 150, 160 yards rushing, and FSU prevailed by a field goal.
Unfortunately, we had to end up playing them again in the Sugar Bowl, and they waxed our ears. They had a better plan of how to protect Danny.
2/3 of our football team came down ill. We got in the bowl game, and they ambushed us, I'll tell you that.
The '99 FSU team was one of the greatest in history, defeating Florida and winning the national championship. The rivalry's intensity would fade in years following until tempers flared in 2003.
Well, it was one of those games like it was a lot of time with them. Thank goodness that our offense bailed us out that day.
We had just converted 4th down, had the ball at midfield about the 49-yard line.
I remember that play vividly. Chris Rich threw it down to PK Sam.
Big old rainbow thing up in the air.
He's got PK Sam open. He makes the catch. Touchdown FSU. Touchdown PK Sam. 55 seconds left.
I don't know how in the world he got open.
52 yards. Florida State leads.
And that was the winning touchdown in the ball game, and it came with less than a minute to go in the game. And Gator fans were just absolutely distraught.
It got kind of quiet there on that touchdown pass, but there was a lot of hooping and hollering going over there with the Seminoles.
All I know is that when you go to Gainesville and you're underdogs and you win, it's electrifying to be a Florida State Seminole.
The rivalry between Florida and Florida State is bigger than the players on the field and more legendary than the coaches on the sidelines. The teams are playing for something greater than victory, something more permanent. As the next page in the rivalry is written, fans can always count on witnessing history. I'm Taylor Cavender with Seminole Sports Magazine.